if a Republican president had done what Joe Biden did in the immoral, disastrous, farcical abandonment of Afghanistan in the way it was done, it would have been grounds for impeachment, given the ease with which Democrats impeach. But it's gone down the memory hole. But not anymore, thanks to the book that has just been published by a former Army captain who won the Bronze Star in Afghanistan and is co-author. The Army captain is James Hasson. Co-author is Jerry Dunleavy. The book is Kabul, the Untold Story of Biden's Fiasco and the American Warriors Who Fought to the End. So you were talking about a Taliban suicide bomber, or was it ISIS? What group was he with?
ISIS.
Yeah.
ISIS, correct.
ISIS. So what were you saying?
I was pointing out is that there's been a lot of talk about the decision to abandon Bagram, but one thing that has been completely omitted from conversation, and that we reveal in Kabul, is that the ISIS suicide bomber himself was captured in the CIA operation in 2019, and he was housed at what was called Parwan Prison at Bagram Air Base. And when Joe Biden decided, and it was Joe Biden's decision, we show that as well in the book, to abandon Bagram, this man was freed when the Taliban took it over. So you can trace the suicide bombing itself directly back to the original sin of abandoning Bagram. But the interesting thing is, you mentioned that the administration has tried to just whitewash this whole withdrawal. And that's absolutely correct. And it's one of the reasons why we wrote this book, is to tell the complete, full story. They have never said the name of the suicide bomber who conducted the attack. His name is Abdul Rahman al-Aghari. Because if they do so, inevitably questions will arise, like the ones that we pursued in Kabul, which is, where did this guy come from? How did he escape? What happened? And if you think about it, there's no major terrorist attack in history where we've never identified who the bomber is. And as I point out, there's a reason for that.
I'm sitting here, I did not know that. I did not know they didn't even mention his name. Do you have a thought, I'm sure you do, why did Biden, A, evacuate Afghanistan, B, the way he did it?
Certainly. One of the things that we do is trace through, briefly, but thoroughly, Biden's history in terms of making decisions. As you know, Robert Gates, who was Obama's Secretary of Defense, said that Joe Biden had been on the wrong end of every major foreign policy decision for 40 years. But if we were to get in Joe Biden's head for a second, and based on the statements that he's made publicly, he thought he was the smartest one in the room. And he pushed Obama to completely abandon Afghanistan in 2014, and he was rebuffed, and he always had a grudge against military leadership for basically winning that argument. So one of the things that we reveal is the very first week that he was in office, in an Oval Office meeting, he asked, how quickly can we get out of Afghanistan? He didn't say, how can we do it safely? He didn't say, how can we do it while keeping our promises to allies? It was simply, how quickly can we get out of Afghanistan? And to get out of Afghanistan as quickly as possible, and to be able to say we only have, 600 or so troops, which is about commensurate with what we would have for an embassy the size of the one in Kabul in any other country. To do that, we had to be out of Bagram, and politics took priority over strategy, and it was the American.
Wait. When you say politics took priority, why? Did the American people want him to do this? Why was it politically advantageous?
He believed that that that's what the American people wanted, or at least to end the wars. You mentioned before that there was some disagreement even on the right, but he wanted to be able to pin his flag as the president that ended the war in Afghanistan. And it's kind of incredible that he originally chose September 11th as our withdrawal or, say surrender date.
Well, I have to tell you, before I thank you and really urge people to read your book, Kabul, it's up at DennisPrager.com, Alan. Good. You said something, I didn't want to interrupt you, which I could have self-asphyxiated when I heard that he thinks he's the smartest man in the room.
Yeah, we detailed decisions recounted by, or conversations recounted by, even now the late Richard Holbrooke, who was a senior advisor to President Obama and Biden at the time, where Biden would tell him, the generals rule Biden, but they can't rule me. But really quickly before we go, one thing I do want to add about the book and the reason why we wrote Kabul is that we detail, in the words of the Marines and soldiers themselves who were there, exactly what they faced at the gates every day. It was the average American soldier and Marine at their very best, and American women at their very worst.
For that alone, we should read it.